Luna.
So we're gonna continue with our conversational style chat.
On
We have
Conversation Street.
Yes. We are on the back porch of home equity and discussing, I don't know, on this.
A bunch of
Yeah, a bunch of shit. We like to make fun of Grand Tour. I don't know if you've ever watched Grand Tour,
Have you ever seen Grand Tour, Kim?
but Grand Tour,
Such a good show.
they had Top Gear. BBC had Top Gear, and then I think BBC fired everybody, and then and then Amazon picked them up and gave them this crazy budget, paid them
All
a
the
ton
money
of
in the
money,
world.
and they made Grand Tour. And then in Top Gear they had
Car stuff.
the celebrity couch thing with the celebrity. So on Grand Tour they had Conversation Street.
Yeah.
And Richard Hammond every time would come up with this ridiculous way of describing Conversation Street. So it's like we're strolling down the avenue of chat
Yeah.
on
On our way to Conversation Street.
so,
It was super lame, but
That's funny.
it's rememberable.
you know, and
Memorable.
they've also moved over to Jeremy Clarkson and Clarkson's farm, which I was joking because I was like, I think I saw Jeremy Clarkson at the Avalon. There was a $500,000 Lamborghini Huracan STO parked on the sidewalk and not valeted or anything. And then this dude comes out from a glance, like my peripheral. I was like, maybe that was Jeremy Clarkson.
It's a older white guy with a small pot belly and curly white hair smoking a cigarette. So it could have been Jeremy Clarkson.
But he's since pivoted, and now it's Clarkson's farm, and it's equally as funny, really. I
Yeah.
think I didn't expect it to be.
Watching a non-farmer try to run a farm, like acres and acres of tilling the land and planting crops and all kinds of
Watching
Why would somebody want to do that?
do what?
That.
Hold-
Like
hold-
a non-farmer. Why would a non-farmer want to take on something like that?
Because-
don't they know that that's like the hardest work in the world
stuff. He does now.
besides giving birth?
Because
Oh, yes.
you have no clue how ridiculous Jeremy is, and his ridiculousness carries over to his life in farming.
We'll have to send you links to a couple different shows so you can check it out and understand.
Yeah, I got to see that.
But we are here in Georgia visiting.
Kimberly and Guegawi.
Now, when we show up, we say Atlanta, and I feel like every neighborhood is being classified as Atlanta. Are we in Atlanta?
We're in North Metro Atlanta.
See?
What does that
See?
mean? What does that mean?
A bougie way to say no, but yes.
Because if I said we're in Gainesville or we're in Cumming, people are like, where's that? It's,
You're right. You're right.
have
I,
It's in
to-
Atlanta.
It's in Atlanta.
I said that
you know
the
where
other
Atlanta
day.
is? It's there.
I said that the other day. I said we were riding around. We were looking at real
Running around
estate
getting it.
and looking at rentals, really. And I said, if you tell somebody, where do you live? Miramar. What?
Where's that, Destin?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know where that is. Panama City.
Right.
That's all
Oh,
you gotta
yeah,
say, one of
everybody
those
knows.
two. Yeah.
So we are here in North Metro Atlanta, Gainesville. Thank you for allowing us to crash.
Absolutely. We loved having you guys.
So here's the thing. That bed is ridiculously comfortable.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Super.
After we got 92 pillows off of it.
I loved all your pillows. I was like, you can tell Kim did this because it's like pristine. It's like magazine perfect. And I'm like, take this pillow away, take this pillow away, take this pillow away. I'm like, now I'm gonna stack them in the corner.
Let me give you the truth about pillows. So, I mean, I do like having a lot of pillows on the bed, but those were just the ones I didn't know what to do with. I'm like, pop them in here for now. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
And that is the nicest bed ever in a guest room.
I fully agree. Our guest room has a folding futon that we got it like
We have a
Home Depot
futon
or
in the
something.
guest room, but what happened?
There you go.
But what ends up happening is somebody comes over. She's like, Alyssa, you're sleeping in the guest room.
And then we just completely redo her bedroom for whoever spends the night.
There you go. Perfect.
That'd be like if we come over here and you were like, we don't have a guest room, but our daughter's room will work. We'll just go clean it all up and give you her room. She'd be like, "What the hell?" Because Alyssa hates when we give her room away.
So, like, it depends on who's staying. You know, if there's somebody that's like, oh, yeah, I want to come visit you for a few days, and it's like a sister-in-law that you're like, sure.
We got an unfinished
Come on
basement
over.
for you. Come on
Right,
up.
get that crappy mattress that's really uncomfortable
Put it right on
one
the floor.
with a tiny little sheet and
Turn the
we've
air
run out
down
of
real
pillows.
cold.
no pillow.
Yeah, we've run out of pillows. You'll have to use your arm.
It'll
Ain't
be
nothing,
like the next morning, oh, my back.
I guess I'll go get a hotel instead.
Bye.
ain't nothing like trying to sleep when it's freezing cold with this little tiny little sheet. And it's like you wake up. you just, but we do have some really cool video that we will end up putting up from yesterday, which we had a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to putting it all together from where it started, from brunch at Cracker Barrel, not realizing that the beauty of Cracker Barrel is they have mimosas. So that was
That's
a
the beauty.
plus.
I agree, but
You've got a story to tell for
I
sure.
do. That'll be
about
on the main channel though.
And also, then we went from there. Then we went and walked some properties, and then we did some tours. We got all that, but then that's when it really starts to take off. And how long did it take to get the boat ready? I mean,
For me?
She was like, "Oh, we pop drinks and whatever. We're in there popping
I
bottles.
feel
While
like-
y'all getting the boat ready."
I feel like it probably took almost 3 hours.
There's a lot to go into
3 hours.
taking a day out, right?
be-
So to answer your question, like if we had to wash it yesterday, we would probably never seen that
Where do you
late.
wash it? In your slip?
At the slip.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an ordeal.
The 3 hours would be the getting it ready to go, and then cleaning it up
We-
when we got back. Is that what you mean?
We
for the 3
saw
hours?
a guy washing a boat on the dock when
Yeah.
we leave. So if you wash yours, do you have to like zip everything up?
Yeah, you want to make sure that up top, all that isinglass is all zipped up so that it kind of protects that area from the electronics and all of that. You don't really want that part to get wet.
Which is funny. You don't want your boat to get wet. Parts of your boat to get wet.
No, well, yeah, like that part. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's
Because you would think that it'd be okay, but because it goes in the water.
but there's some like expensive electronics that it's better off that it's covered and.
So
Did you ever see the video of the lady who went through the self car wash and she opened up the doors and was like spraying out the entire interior of the car, dash seats, everything,
Stop
soap,
it.
all of it. And there's people. I mean, there's like 10 people around recording her going.
how about the lady
You
who
can't do
needed
that.
oil? So she opened the hood and just poured oil in on the
No.
just
Oh my God! What is wrong with people?
Drugs.
She tried. So,
Wow.
but we did drop you guys off. Then we doubled back because I forgot the drone, which I think was a good move because the drone shots are going to be sick.
Oh, I
The
can't
The drone
wait to
shots are
really
going to be
go.
sick.
Cannot
So
wait.
we're gonna again, everybody, make sure you check the links in the description because not everything is going to be on this channel. So if you want to see it all, you got to be everywhere.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't feel as though you're going to be disappointed.
No.
And with the comments that we've been getting here recently, people are like, I don't know how I got here. This is not what I normally watch, but I love this.
But I'm staying. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, but what I was saying was, I think like between getting to the boat, cranking up the generator, getting the AC going.
Yeah.
You guys are meal prepping and tending bar. Thank you for that.
Right. You're welcome.
And then from there, pulling out and fueling. The fueling that I'm adding the fueling. So like if you were really gonna go out and
Oh yeah. that's
do
true.
something, and you hadn't taken the boat out and you don't remember how long, and you needed to fill up both tanks, the fun didn't start until you were out.
Oh, we were
Right.
still having fun. But
Well, yeah, for sure.
Watching
yeah,
is
people watching was
interesting.
a lot of fun. But the filling up the boat, Greg said that was taking way longer than it should have. So yesterday was
And he said he paid was it three? How much? No, it was $5.29
Yeah, the gas
Fi-
I think was $5.29.
for 90 octane. 529 where he filled up. When we ended up at Twisted Ore,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I bet you these pumps are faster.
Yeah.
$5.99 a gallon.
Oh.
So he was like, man, if I had thought about it, if I had known this, I would have just come here, plugged it in, or whatever, however you call it, for the fuel while we waited and ate and stuff.
It wouldn't work out because it cut off every $300.
Yeah, that's
Probably.
true.
Or
Yeah, we
maybe.
have to come back like what, 5 times?
Yeah. So that was, but it was still fun, but it's like, there was so much to it that it's like, people probably don't even really realize it.
Right.
And then when we get to Twisted Ore, all the dock lines were like short.
And really thick. You can't wrap those around a cleat. I don't know what the purpose of those
Well,
were.
Greg was saying that they try to make it so people don't want to steal them.
Yeah, exactly. Clearly.
Yeah.
One was like 3 feet.
Yeah.
That wouldn't even reach. I was like, what is this? Yeah, they want you to use your own lines.
Now, I will say that the cool part was when we were fueling up, somebody says, hey, what does that mean on the back of your boat? And then ended up being another realtor
Right.
in a different office. So leading into that, Team Tordic, hashtag Team Tordic,
Hashtag Team Tordic.
our favorite real estate team. We've lost track of how many different deals we've done. But
Are we still top, like, in line for the top, or is there
Here's
somebody
a-
above us?
When are you going to buy your next one?
well, that's what I was gonna say. The cool part is this can still work out
This can
because
still work out. We can still be
when
number
you
one.
get when you're in the 38 MLS,
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Once you guys
we're
are
gonna
there.
take. We will be the top most close transactions in 2 states. We'll make our own category.
Correct. You would. Yes. So that's the goal. The goal is to get the Florida license soon, because we get a lot of people that, buy vacation properties there or move there or move from there to here. So we'll be able to help everybody with that.
And so the distraction here is Lula. Hello, Lula.
Luna.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Luna. We call her all kind. We call her Lily, Lily Pad, Luli. Looney
I'm sorry
Tunes,
because
Luna.
the L's are really starting to trick. Because we were getting off the boat and you were like, Louie's not happy. And I'm like, I thought we left the dog at home. And it's like Louie, Luna, like Luna is the dog.
Luna is the dog.
And the dog is a dachshund.
Yeah, she's a mini long-haired dachshund.
That's the one that spelled like Dauche and something weird.
I can't spell it.
If you looked at it, it looks like it
Is
says
it German?
Duschend.
Is it German?
Yes. And she has the German stubbornness to prove it. And I am partially German, so I'm allowed to say that.
Perfect sense. Yes, that makes perfect sense.
But Team Tordic. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Team Tordic. What do you do? Who you are? How can people reach you?
Okay, so first I want people to probably understand how we got here,
Let's do it.
right? So real estate really is all about building transactions. So 18 years ago, I got my driver's license. No, it's been a hell of a lot longer than that. 18 years ago, we moved here to Georgia, got my real estate license, and I think a short few years after that, maybe like 3 years later, you all walked in to a brokerage that I worked with and said, I need a real estate agent. And that's how we met. So that kind of ties us all in together. That's so if people are curious how you know me, that is how. I was there, I helped, and the rest is history.
Yeah, you absolutely did help for sure.
Yeah.
But, this business is all about relationships, right? So I do organically come across clients that I help, and during the process, we build a relationship. And I'm really good friends with some of these people, like you guys.
Well, I
So-
mean, a few weeks ago, you were with us in Destin.
Yeah.
right,
And here we are now crashing at your house. So,
right.
like,
And I think we have something planned for the near future,
Yeah.
too.
oh, no, you're right. You're right.
September.
Yeah,
Yeah,
September.
excited.
Yeah.
We get to spend our 15-year wedding anniversary with you guys. So I'm excited.
I love that. I'm so, honored.
Yeah.
So you assist, you build relationships in real estate, in any market really, but more specifically this market here. But you can help connect potential buyers and sellers with your network, your sphere?
Yeah, so I have helped clients of mine here move to other states, and what I do is I interview agents that are out of states for my clients and hook them up with them so that they can be sure that they're going to be A, working with a professional, B, working with someone that does that sells real estate for a living, not just a hobby, so they get their full attention, and C, someone that's hardcore negotiator to get them the best deal. So I do that service.
And that is
well.
really important right now because it's a challenging time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think even 2020 was challenging as well in its own right because you had to be on it.
Right.
And I remember our sale and what I thought was possible in the market, and Kim was probably thinking, "Kevin, you're crazy." and we came really, really close. We
Very
came
close.
really, really
Very
close,
close.
right? And that was the beginning. That was the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
And then it just blew up, right?
Yeah.
And then with my brother, that was work. That was work, and you made it happen.
That was work.
What I remember the most about us working with Kim, I mean, she's helped us with every house we've ever had and all of our family members, but the last house we bought where we had settled on a price, and then she goes, "Hold on," and she called back. She goes, "I did something," and I'm like, "What?" She goes, "I got another $5,000 off the house, off the asking price," and I was like, "That's amazing," because she knew she could, and she knew we trusted her to do whatever she thought was going to work best, and she was able to talk him down another $5,000.
But now it's a different game, okay?
Yeah.
But you're still kicking
The
butt.
best in the game.
You're still kicking butt.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
And that is going to be very important for buyers and sellers who will be buyers, and every combination that exists there. With all the different challenges that we're all facing today, mainly being interest rates and affordability and uncertainty about the future, which is oftentimes tied to fear, which we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. But you've got how many years of experience?
18.
18 years. And you're also right now on a team, a board. You're a member of the
ALC. So it's the Agent Leadership Council.
for Keller Williams. So, I mean, your reputation, precedes you. But for those who want to connect, buying, selling,
Renting.
planning, preparing,
Investing.
what's the best way from the teamtordic.com or?
They could do teamtordic.com, leave out the C. So it's TORDIK, like the shirt says, or 678-858-7158. Team Tordic.
Yeah, I just need a little show off there because I'm not editing this video. So there it is on the t-shirt. I'll drop a link in the description, and you will be the pinned comment as well.
Ooh, lovely.
Cool.
On this video. So, Market Insider says that the housing market is so unaffordable that a record share of homebuyers are looking to relocate to cheaper cities despite rising natural disaster risks.
Yeah.
Redfin reported that a record 25% of homebuyers are relocating due to lack of affordability. Phoenix and Las Vegas are two of the most popular cities despite natural disaster risks. And Arizona's governor recently unveiled a plan to limit home building in Phoenix, citing lack of water.
Oh, yeah. Lack of water is a big deal.
So I guess the lack of water is a natural disaster?
Kind of man-made right now.
Because what are the risks in Phoenix and in Las Vegas as far as natural disasters? Like
Floods and...
Storm.
that's crazy that you say that because Phoenix is running out of water and Vegas is flooding. So,
Right. It's not that far.
no, not at all.
I was just in Phoenix last month, actually, and I was visiting my mother. And she is in a suburb. You know how in the beginning of the video we were like, are we in Atlanta? So is she in Phoenix? She's in the suburbs of Phoenix. And they are building an ungodly amount of new construction there, despite what the headlines say, right? So, but again, she's not like in proper Phoenix on the outskirts. And the infrastructure is not there. Like, they have a Walmart and a few fast food joints, and now all of these and when I say an ungodly amount of houses, I think just in a quarter-mile radius, she said there was quarter-mile radius from where she is. I think she said there was like 3,500 home starts happening
You know why?
in just that area.
Well,
Do you know why? Because they're building factories around there. Like they've got there's an Intel chip plant going in somewhere in Ohio, but there's another one somewhere, something like that in Arizona. And so they need the housing for the workers that they're planning to bring in there to run these places. So they're hoping that they can get the housing, and then they'll make the rest of it catch up to the people.
and where was that place you told us that you wanted us to visit in Arizona?
Sedona.
Sedona.
So it seems as though this plan to limit home building in Phoenix is because of the lack of water. So if you build it, they will come. If you don't have the infrastructure, obviously that will then be built to support it. But if you don't have the water, if you have all these extra people then pulling at this limited supply of water, it's a problem. Or is it a money problem because they have to pay for that water from other states to get it?
Yeah.
There was one I talked about, I don't remember which city it was now because everything runs together, where they were shut off from the municipality that they were pulling water from because they were like, no, we need this for our people. You can no longer pull from us. And I want to say it's somewhere in Arizona, but I don't think it was Phoenix. I don't remember what city it was. But those residents were literally, they had no water. There was no way to take a shower, flush their toilets, cook their food, because they were 100% cut off from the water source that that the city had been using previously.
And now for some who had the ability to access groundwater through wells, and certain municipalities, counties, and states will now be charged for that.
You'll be taxed on your well water.
So based on searches of about 2 million Redfin users who viewed for sale homes online, relatively cheaper cities like Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Miami
I don't know where they're getting these numbers because Vegas doesn't seem
are
cheap and
attracting-
Miami's stupid expensive.
the most. You can see me like I'm reading. I'm like, what?
Okay, can I make a comment? Don't listen to Redfin.
Exactly.
But anyway,
It says that that's in spite of those markets coming under worsening risks like heat, drought, and flooding. And I got to add to this the record number of claims that are going unpaid and denied in states like Florida after Hurricane Ian.
So here's the thing. There's probably people moving out in droves from Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Miami because of other issues. So this article is designed to get eyes on those cities, to rejuvenate them, to have new people come in so they can sell the houses that are on the market in
It's
those areas.
relative. It's relative. Like that cost of living calculator we did. If you're moving out of California,
Those other places are going to seem cheaper.
they're going to seem more affordable.
Yeah, more affordable.
Depending on where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Now, it says that climate risks haven't yet stopped many home buyers from moving into areas that don't have enough water, like Phoenix, and places that could eventually be underwater, like coastal Florida. Is Florida going to be underwater?
I don't think so. I don't know. Whoever wrote that article.
This is according to Redfin chief economist Daryl Fairweather. We're going to have a talk with Daryl.
Yeah, we need to talk to Daryl and figure out where he's getting his information from.
Now, on another note, it says that house hunting is already tough, obviously. But they say, guess what? It's about to get harder. In the last week of June, the number of homes for sale fell below year-ago levels for the first time in 59 weeks. And new listings in the last week of June were down 29% from the same week a year ago, while mortgage rates recently crossed back over 7%.
is that nationally, Kevin?
I believe so.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's not our local market here, but
What-
nationally.
What good are these headlines when you take a national number? What good are they?
None. Because our market here is nothing like what's happening in California or New York or Chicago or Phoenix. It's just
These
Nothing
national
like it.
numbers creating these headlines are just completely skewing hyper local markets, giving everybody this perception that's not true.
Every day, every single day, it's a battle. The conversations that we have with potential buyers or potential sellers, they're listening to what the national news is saying. So when I pull the stats from our local MLS and show them, here's what's happening year over year, the home prices are, number one, not declining. We do have a shortage of inventory, so that part of it is not false, but it's probably not as low as it is in some other areas. So some properties are being sold off market still, like they were a couple, 2, 3 years ago. Same thing is happening because they know someone that knows someone that knows someone who needs to buy a house.
If you had to say, in a broad sense of the word, for the large Atlanta market, is it a supply issue or is it an affordability issue?
So both. Supply issue because we still have low inventory. People kind of froze. Let's say buyers kind of froze in purchasing homes because they got scared of the interest rate. And also because of the low inventory, it was really creeping up the prices and people were willing to pay above value and come with more cash out of pocket to purchase a house. So that's one thing. The affordability here in Atlanta, is very interesting because this was one of the most affordable housing markets in the country. And that's what was attractive to us when we moved here. And over time, you know what happened? People started moving here from places like New York, California, Chicago, Miami, all over because of the affordability. And it just naturally increased the
The
prices.
affordability and the job opportunities,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
ability for remote work. It's like, yo, I could go to Georgia with a $500,000 budget and get what?
Yeah.
Coming out of
Right.
New York? Like,
Yeah.
They were like, we called them McMansions, you know?
so odds are Yahoo Finances shared this article, but realistically, it's probably only going to get worse now that Jeff Bezos's backed company surpasses the $100 million mark in single-family home acquisitions while U.S. housing shortage worsens. Countless news headlines have been calling for a housing crash for the better part of a year. We all know why. Yet prices are still climbing in many parts of the U.S. according to data from Redfin. Can we really trust that? The median sale price has increased by over 9.38% since January and has fallen only 3.4% from the peak in May of 2022. Despite rising mortgage rates, buyers are finding little relief in home prices because of the massive shortage of supply. And according to an analysis from Realtor.com, the gap between single-family home construction and household formations grew to 6.5 million homes last year. Shortly before home prices began to surge in 2021, Amazon.com founder Jeff Bezos made a bet on a Seattle-based startup that had a mission to make real estate investments more accessible to retail investors. That year, Arrived Homes, is the name of the company, became the first company to legally sell shares of individual rental properties to non-accredited investors.
What is? I don't know if that's good or bad.
Yes. We are non-accredited.
Okay.
Therefore, if we wanted to have an opportunity in investing in real estate, this would be one of those ways of doing it.
So that's good.
Sure.
It is good because a lot of the investors over the years, let's say from the market crash, right? So we saw in 2009, 2010, all of these other investors from other countries buying up all of our inventory, all those foreclosures, and then creating these companies. I'm not going to name which ones because I'd have to be 100% certain on which ones they are, but there was a lot. And they ate up all of our inventory, and we're not keeping the money here in the United States.
Yeah.
People.
So, like I said, is it good? Is it bad? Yeah.
Depends on who you ask.
Depends on who you ask. I mean, I think it's better than what the other options were.
Investors on the real estate platform have now funded over 275 single-family homes with a total value of more than $102 million. But then the question is, well, what are they going to do with these homes? Mm-hmm. And how many more are they going to buy? Mm-hmm. And what is that going to do to the market?
Well, hopefully they sell them, not all at once, so that it opens up the market to the buyers, because the cost of waiting for buyers put some buyers out of the market. Now they can't afford anything.
Let's just say they're in a hyper local market, and 275 is a huge number, right? And then they do decide to sell them one at a time.
Right.
They control the supply, much like we experienced before. Mm-hmm. And when you can create the perception of a shortage, then you can drive up the demand and ultimately the price.
Right.
Now, Bezos' investment in the real estate company's seed round appears to have been well-timed, since skyrocketing home prices followed by rising mortgage rates have helped send the home ownership rate in the United States to its lowest level since 1970. The billionaire tech entrepreneur isn't the only one betting on the U.S. becoming a nation of renters. A nation of renters, okay? Last November, J.P. Morgan Chase announced its joint venture to acquire and develop $1 billion worth of single-family rental communities. MetLife Investment Management estimated that institutions owned some 700,000 single-family rentals in 2022 and expected that number to reach 7.6 million by 2030. While some people blame investors like Bezos for contributing to the housing shortage, others see fractional ownership through platforms like Arrived as their only option to invest in real estate in today's market. Previously, if you wanted to invest in real estate, you could probably get away with it with $200,000 or less, or maybe even 20 grand. Now, the same $200,000 investment in real estate is probably $450. Mm-hmm. Probably $450, which means that if you were going to put 10% down and get into that, now you're looking at $45,000.
Right.
So are we saying that this Jeff Bezos housing thing is basically like the stock market's version of fractional shares when it comes to real estate? Like, you can't afford the whole house, so you're gonna buy, you're gonna put money into that back left bedroom, and that's your space. And when it sells, you get money for that back left bedroom.
Arrived Homes will basically divide up real estate, their portfolio ultimately, and allow you, their portfolio, is over 100 million right now. And if you wanted to have $100 million in real estate, do you have $100 million? No. Mm-hmm. I got $1,000. Okay, well, you can get into this at whatever percentage that $1,000 buys you, and have your ability and opportunity to receive your ROI on that $1,000 percentage, versus not having a chance at all, versus not being able to get involved in any way, shape, or form. And odds are, if they're going to be going in a direction that's going to drive up prices and or produce perpetual income through rentals, it's not a really bad idea to be invested in.
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
it just depends where. Like, is it Michigan, or is it a place like Atlanta? Yeah. You gotta know that piece of it.
Realtor.com says there are 5 solid reasons to buy a house now, despite the high interest rates. But 2 reasons why you might want to wait.
I can tell you one of the 5 why you might want to now is because everything they're building, not everything, but a majority of stuff they're building now is being built for rent as opposed to built for ownership. So the longer you wait, the less chance you're going to have of being able to buy a house, because they're not going to sell them as ownership.
Yeah, there's a lot of that happening right now here. They're buying up land, they're building inexpensive houses that are very, very cookie cutter. Like they all look exactly the same, and you cannot buy one. You can only lease it.
The
whole
The whole
community.
There's
worst
townhomes and stuff too. We've seen.
part about it is we've seen this. We've seen this when we would drive from Lawrenceville to Monroe, and I saw it the other day when we were on Hamilton Mill, and it kind of like takes the appeal out of it. And they're building these nice new homes, and every single one of them is white with black trim.
Yeah.
And it's like when that was cool, it was cool because it was its own. Now the whole neighborhood, it's like.
Where's the personality? Where's the individualism?
It's like they all.
Right.
It's like like the cool factor of it has now become the cookie cutter factor of it.
Right.
Which in this neighborhood, I like the variety. I like these darker.
Yeah.
Like I like the dark But then, the one at the front, they kind of went really bold.
Do you remember that house that I helped the family with? I don't remember what city it was in. It was somewhere out in the
Yeah, I
country.
remember.
And helped them pick the colors, and we did dark.
Yeah.
And man, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So it says at number 1, there are more homes for sale. Just a year earlier, the supply of housing was at such record lows that competition for the few houses out there was brutal. Since then, housing inventory has grown with 50% more homes on the market today. Even better, the supply of homes for sale tends to hit its seasonal high point in May. Spring is typically the peak season for new listings, meaning there will be a larger selection of homes.
Right.
Have we seen that this year?
Yes.
Still holding true. 2.
I mean, but it's natural. Like it happens. People tend to usually want to move when the kids get out of school, if they have a family.
Yeah.
So,
And then
every year the inventory is higher in May and June.
I would think that also you want to list when the weather's not cold and not hot. That one little window where it's bearable to be outside walking around, where it's not super rainy either. So that whole March, April, May makes sense to me.
There's leaves on the trees.
Yeah.
The grass is green.
Oh, yeah. We had to wait till the leaves showed up.
Take pictures for our house.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember that.
6 acres of trees. You can't list that joker with pictures with bare trees.
There's no January listing for a place like that.
Number 2, home prices may be heading south soon. Listing prices reached a record high of $449,000 last June. I'm sure this is a national average. And while they're still higher now than they were a year earlier, these numbers are poised to decline soon. The increase in inventory has been big enough to slow home price increases. You there in the black t-shirt.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I'm going to say is national news. What they really mean to say, I think, is their decline is really not a decline in value. So let's just get that straight. What it really means is that buyers are not really in the position to be able to have the ability to pay way over what the value is because the interest rate has gone up some. So now they need to use their cash more for down payment. So it's not that we're having a decline, it's that the buyers are deciding not to overpay for the homes. So we've not seen a decrease in value.
That makes perfect sense.
That makes perfect sense.
That
Right?
makes
Year
perfect
over year,
sense.
we're still increasing in value.
They don't paint that picture that way.
Of course they
They
don't.
don't paint that
It
picture
wouldn't
that
make
way.
national headlines then.
No.
Number 3, interest rates are poised to decline this year too. Given the U.S. Federal Reserve isn't expected to announce another significant interest rate hike anytime soon, many experts say that mortgage rates, like home prices, have likely reached their apex. So buyers should not worry too much that rates will rise higher. And one mortgage expert says that we've seen the highest mortgage rates we are likely to see for some time.
I agree. So I want to touch on that as well, because with the interest rates where they are now, I think okay, so here's what happened. When the mortgage rates came way down, everybody was like, yeah, this is awesome. We couldn't sustain that. So we knew eventually that they were going to go up. What happened is people got brainwashed into thinking that that was normal. And it lasted for so long that everyone thought this is the path we're going to be on. 6.5%, 6.75% is normal.
Wasn't it much higher back in the 80s, like in double digits?
Oh my gosh. I have to ask Greg, but our very first house, I want to say our interest rate was like 13%.
So that's what I was thinking. Like a lot of people that are having issues with, oh my gosh, the interest rate's so high, they're too young to have known that even right now, this interest rate is still half of what it was before we had the stupid low interest rates.
It's normal.
So
it's
I want to
totally normal.
Now I want to do an affordability calculation and comparison. Back like years ago, what the home prices were, how high the interest rates were, but also what your income was in relation to other expenses
And then
compared to
today.
today.
Right.
And see if it evens out. Like if you're still in the same boat, technically, if you look at it side by side.
Yeah, it's it's like gas does cost 3 times more than it did years ago, but people make 3 times more than they did years
Right.
ago.
Yeah.
So
It all has to be taken into consideration. And a lot of times people like to pick and choose which part they focus on and which part they take into consideration. It's like the whole picture matters, not just that one little piece of it.
number 4, homes are taking longer to sell. In the past few years, homes in hot markets were selling so fast, buyers couldn't even see the place before it was snapped up. During the pandemic, nearly 1/3 of new listings went into contract within hours or days. But this whiplash pace has slowed considerably. In April of last year, homes spent 49 days on the market, which is 17 days longer than the year before. And if we were to look at it today, what's your average days on market?
That's a really good point. So days on market, that 49 days again, probably national. What we're seeing here is an average of about 7 days right now. So it all depends. If the seller prices the home and they're still living in 2021, that it could stay on the market for 49 days. But they're probably going to have a few price reductions because they have to get real, okay? Not that the values have declined, but if they say, well, my neighbor listed their house and it went in 2 days, they have multiple offers, and it was priced at $1 million, so I'm going to price mine at $1,000,001.
Not how that works.
So we got a lot to unpack there, and we cannot do it on this video because we'll be here forever.
You know, it's a hot spot for me.
But number 1, we talked about this on another video about rent prices, Airbnb, investor ROI. There's a lot going on that isn't being translated to the consumer, especially when it comes to concessions. So you may say, "Oh, my neighbor sold for $1 million." You don't know what the deal was.
Right.
You don't know what the deal was. You don't know, the lease back. You don't know anything besides what it shows you it closed for.
Right.
But you don't know anything else.
Correct.
So you got to take that into consideration. But then the other thing is, this is going to be a separate video because we walked the house yesterday that has been on the market for over a year.
Yeah.
Over a year. And it has really no real snowball's chance in hell at selling anytime soon.
If they leave it,
The way
it is, and
the
price
price
how
that
it
it
is,
is,
and everything else, yeah.
And
Marketed the way that it is.
Or not
because they're
marketed.
not using a real estate agent.
that's what I want to talk about. Because this is part of Team Tordic and positioning a seller's property in the best way possible to get the most interest and activity and ultimately the most money. Whereas some people are looking at it and saying, well, I can get someone to do it for a fraction of a percentage of commission, and then I'll do the rest. And then your home sits. So if that home sits, if, for instance, there was a mortgage on that home for a year, their carrying costs would probably be in the neighborhood of, let's just say, nearly $50,000.
Yeah.
Nearly $50,000, which probably makes sense as to why they shut off the utilities,
Right.
because that was just an added expense. But then it changes the entire dynamic when you walk through the home. It's not staged. I mean, it's a terrible
It's awful.
idea, and that could also play a factor in why some of these numbers in some markets may be going up as far as days on market, because people are not selling their homes the right way.
Right.
They don't have a real estate professional, a realtor, to actually sell their home, which you guys handle flawlessly.
Right.
I think a lot of people saw how fast homes sold over the last couple of years and thought, oh, if it's going to go like that, we don't need to have an agent and spend money that way, or with the whatever, the closing fees or whatnot. They're like, oh, it's easy, I'll just do it myself, and then it just does not work out.
Much
that
like
way.
the weather, the market changes.
Right.
And there was a time for that, and now it's a different time today.
Yeah.
But again, if you guys want to see that video of that walkthrough, that home tour, make sure you subscribe and have your notifications turned on. So it also says that the reason for the slowdown, everyone is waiting and hoping for either interest rates to drop or home prices to go down. But sometimes you just keep waiting only to find out.
You get nothing.
So I want to give you an example. We call it the cost of waiting. And so last year we were working with several buyers, and it was a tough market for entry-level buyers, but we were working with several of them, made multiple offers. When I say multiple offers, some of them we made offers on 3, 4, 5 properties before we were able to snag one. And some we made a dozen. And they felt defeated, and so they decided to rent and wait the market out, wait for the rates to drop, wait for prices to drop. So I'm going to talk about this one particular client that we were working with. First-time home buyers. They had a budget of, I believe it was $350. Really, really, really tough market to be in. We made like a dozen offers, and they did not want to listen to us because they felt that all the information that they could get on the internet, that they could do our job better than we could. If that isn't, I think that's probably the right way to say it. So they didn't really want to take our advice on what it was going to take to win. And we were using other clients and as examples to show them, this is what it takes. This one's in the same, price point, but a different area. This is how we won. Nope, don't want to do it. Okay. So they decided, you know what, we're going to extend our lease for another year. So whatever that cost them, which I think was about $1,800 a month. When you think $1,800 a month, that's a mortgage payment, right? Mm-hmm. So they extended that, and they're going to wait it out. Now that $350,000 house is a minimum of $425,000, and instead of the 5% interest rate that they could have got last year, it's 6 3/4. What do you think that they can afford now? How much money did they save up? And are they investing in their own equity, which may have cost them an additional $5,000 based on what we were advising them to? Or did they now spend almost $24,000 and put that $24,000 in their landlord's pocket instead of investing in their own?
But then the other thing is, if the cost of waiting, then you get to that point, you're like, well, now we can't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Right.
It's funny though.
Now they're ghosting me, Kevin.
Oh, Lord.
I'm not making phone calls that are like, I told you so. I'm making phone calls saying, do you want to get back in the game?
Yeah.
Clearly,
and honestly,
they're probably not ghosting. They probably feel like they screwed up, and they know that they should have listened to you.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's
what I'm
like
thinking.
they would have to come back to you with their tail between their legs,
That's what I'm
or
thinking.
they go to a new realtor who doesn't know how bad they
or they
messed up
also
last
realize
year.
that they're priced out.
could be.
Yeah.
And this is
Right.
they done missed the boat.
Mm-hmm.
They done missed the boat. For instance, the Cozumel. We went to Cozumel on that Carnival cruise, and there's this thing that it's pier runners.
Mm-hmm.
And then and these people that like literally wait to the last minute, they run
almost
and they
missed
miss
the
the boat.
Oh, I did that once. Okay. I think we were at Fat Tuesdays,
That'll do it. Yeah.
drinking hurricanes.
Oh my God. But what you said actually resonates with me because it's almost the same story. You put in these offers and you feel like you're getting beat up, but you got to keep trying. You got to keep learning. You have to like, understand the market, right? And if you want to win, what is it going to take?
Right.
Gregory's standing there trying to figure out if he's allowed to come out here or not.
Greg's coming out. He's got the
Gregory.
Team Tordic hat on. You can squeeze in the middle. Go for it.
Because look, I can sit like.
Actually, you may have to sit or give Greg the mic. Greg can be the
Middleman, literally.
mic
Come on,
man.
get sandwiched, Greg.
It's not a bad sandwich. Call it a breakfast sandwich.
So
You get to hold the microphone, and whoever's talking, you have to hand them. You
Okay,
have
I
to. You got to
That's-
like back. And
we got Greg. We got
Okay.
the other half
You're
of
gonna
the
hit me
team
if I
here.
mess up.
No.
This, the man, the myth, the captain, and YouTube. It's the same thing to me. You put in these offers. It's like you make these videos. It's like, oh, they're not working. They're not connecting. They're not getting pushed. You got to keep trying. You can't give up. You got to pay attention to the data. You got to analyze. You got to like understand the market. But then the cost of waiting is, and I'm actually seeing it today. I'm seeing channels that are looking at the changes in the algorithm, the changes in their
Right.
viewership, the changes in their revenue, and they're literally making videos saying, I'm going to take a break for a little while because they're unhappy with the current return that they're getting, but they're also not doing anything different and trying to be better and change to align with how the market is today. Only to realize that by doing that, odds are a few months from now, you're gonna be almost having to start over from
Right.
scratch because you waited and now it's worse than it was before because you weren't putting in the effort and energy doing the things you needed to do to get what you wanted. Instead, you just that cost of waiting, and it almost kind of seems the same to me. But just a generalization. A lot of people don't really listen to others who have a history and a track record and have been through the ups and the downs and then the ups and downs again. And then again, they go to the internet and they think that they can be the expert, know it better than the expert.
Well, Google said.
Yeah. Well, number 5 is it's the right time for you and your family. Ultimately, buy. Sometimes the reasons you're buying a house are out of your control. Perhaps you're moving due to a job change or other extenuating circumstances. So while interest rates and high home prices are challenging affordability for many potential home buyers, it's important not to try too hard to time the market and let it dictate what you do, especially if moving makes sense for your life right now. And I'm willing to bet that you get calls from people who say, the market's going to crash. I don't want to miss out. I need to sell my home. No, you don't.
It would be, I think that's what a lot of people would interpret could happen. But a lot of times the flip side of that is like, I want to sell my house and take advantage of the market, but I don't want to pay the prices or have the interest rate on the buy side.
Or I've got, I'm worried that the market's going to crash because that's what all news headlines are saying. Right. And yeah, I need to sell my house. Well,
Kevin, go ahead.
I thought that was your forever home. Well, it is. Ow. Did you plan on moving anytime soon? No, we want to be here for, next 15, 20 years, however long that may be. Okay. So if the market crashes, how does that change anything?
Right.
Unless you were planning on pulling out a home equity line of credit or a loan or something like that, then obviously, the appraised value would have some impact to you. But other than that, if the market crashes, if it goes up, if it goes down, even the people during 2020, 2021 that saw home values skyrocket and had no intentions of moving, they didn't gain anything from that because, you're going to make money when you sell. But if you never sell, then you can neither make money nor lose money.
Right.
So how do you handle the people that call you in a panic because they need to do something that they don't really need to do?
Yeah, I mean, we ask a series of questions. We call it like pre-qualifying the client. So we ask them a series of questions, maybe similar along the lines of what you're saying, to get to the root. And sometimes people end up not selling, and sometimes from them answering my questions, it solidifies why they probably should sell. So, for example, we're real estate agents. We sold our house recently and moved and bought a new one. Yeah, I paid a lot for this house. A couple of years ago, it would have been a few $100,000 cheaper.
But you also would have got a few $100,000 less for the house you sold.
Exactly.
Perfect
Yes.
balance.
Exactly. So we use the term date the rate, marry the house, right?
And the wife. Well, yeah. Date the wife before she's the wife, and marry the wife, and then buy her the house. Sorry about that.
So anyway,
It was nice knowing you, Greg.
All right. I think the dog's got to go for a walk.
so anyway, I think people shouldn't get caught up on that. To answer your question, it really depends on their why.
Yeah.
Why are you thinking this? Is it because you see your community on a decline because maybe the HOA isn't doing their job and the neighbors' houses are dilapidated? Everyone's got a different reason. So.
And, this one's saying number 5, it's the right time. It's the right time. So I don't think it's the right time for us.
No.
So, especially with, you saying you pay more for these homes today than you
Right.
did before. But I would imagine you guys plan on being here for a long time. So,
Yeah, because, the moving. I'm not doing that again.
That was brutal.
but I know for us, what we would buy, I know we wouldn't be there for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's the thing.
What's the longest we stayed in a house?
5
The
years.
second one was 7 years, wasn't it?
5 years or
Wow.
4.5 for the first one.
Yeah.
That's funny.
About 5, almost 5 for the second one. And then
Was it?
almost 2.
No, that's
Or was
about
it?
right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or maybe, yeah.
That's about right.
Yeah.
But, it's like, for some, I'm going to buy this home, and I'm going to be in this home for 20 plus years. It's the right time. Today's price, it is what it is. Odds are, real estate's probably going to continuously trend upwards. And if you got time in the market versus time in the market, then that's a bet I would want to hedge in real estate.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people, they're reading these headlines. They're talking to people that probably have very little knowledge on the subject. And national data that probably doesn't even apply to them.
Right.
And then making these knee-jerk reactions with real estate agents who are looking at it from a commission standpoint versus a relationship standpoint.
What's funny is the national thing said national house price was $449 or $499. There might be one house under in that price range where we're looking. Everything else is double, maybe not double. That's probably exaggerating, but there's very, very, very little in that price range where we are.
And they're probably like major fixer-uppers.
They're from the 70s and they're trash.
I'll tell you what, though, we will eventually be able to steal a condo.
Yeah, because those are dropping.
People are going to give them away. They're going to give them away. I don't want one.
No.
That's
We
a
used to
whole
want
nother
one, but
video.
after looking
It's a
at
whole
everything,
nother video. We have to
good.
talk about that, but
Yeah, you're right.
yeah, I think but the houses, but the 2 reasons to hold off on buying a house: 1, you're maxing out your budget. 2, your future is uncertain. But again, that cost of waiting can put you closer to maxing out your budget, which is why I think they're not ghosting you. They're just
Right.
They're nervous.
they don't have the money. They can't do it.
They can't do it. They can't do it. And that's That's the cost of waiting. You've waited so long that now the opportunity is not available for you at all.
But number 2 is your future is uncertain.
Right.
When has your future ever been certain?
Never. Your future's never certain.
No, never.
I think it's what you create for yourself, though. You have to take, in life, there's always risks. I mean, we've taken risks constantly, changing businesses, changing lifestyles, increasing into opportunities with people.
Let me
You
get you
know.
closer to the mic, Greg.
Is that better?
Yeah, but you're right, though, because there's even some who didn't take risks and still saw uncertainty and job loss and termination and layoffs due to no fault of their own, being exemplary employees or whatever, tenure. And, the market changed, the business lost money, we're bankrupt. Sorry. There's a merger acquisition. New company comes in, takes your job, gives it to somebody else. Like, there is no, the only certainty is that it's always uncertain. But now they're making it seem like, oh no, the risk is that it's uncertain. I mean, so don't buy a house.
They needed a number 2.
Yeah.
They needed a number 2. They had to come up with something. They can't
Right.
just say there's one reason.
Yeah. There's always a fallback.
So CNBC says that there's 3 reasons that it can be smarter to rent, even if you can afford to buy. Number 1, you're unsure about the long term, which we already discussed. Number 2, you don't like the nuance factor. Number 3, benefits of ownership are vastly overstated. I kind of align with that one because we like
the ownership.
not really having to care.
We like that we can jump in the car and leave Florida and come to Atlanta and then go, you know what, let's go back in like 3 weeks instead and don't have to worry about it because the outside's still being taken care of. Anything happens inside, we're going to be immediately informed. It's
But we also
nice.
like variety.
Yeah, we like the variety.
We like variety.
is the spice of life.
And
You know what they say?
we are very free and flexible to have that variety. And a few years away from high school graduation and then being able to be,
Literally anywhere.
yeah.
Full variety.
Full variety, wherever we want to be.
I think for a lot of people too, I guess not being tied down to anything, right? So it really comes down to lifestyle. Like, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live? That's going to put you in that category based on what your answer is to that question.
No, you're absolutely right. And obviously our job situation is completely different than most. So we're not tied down like most people are. Whereas, if you had a normal job, a career, or whatever, then odds are you're going to want to buy a house close to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Or at least in a neighborhood that you like, that you don't mind the commute. But for us, we're mobile.
Yeah.
And I actually prefer to have these conversations with the people, although we could be virtual, but
Right.
having that freedom and flexibility to just move about
Right.
is huge. However, there are 3 new laws in Virginia to impact renters starting, and landlords too, starting in tomorrow, July 1. So July 1's a big day. A lot of people are tossing out July 1 because there's a lot of things happening July 1. But maybe these new laws could ultimately impact renters and landlords in other states, including Georgia, including Florida, maybe the entire country. But we will cover that in a future video. Michelle and I and the kid are possibly heading up north,
Maybe heading west.
possibly heading up north
Depending on the air.
and through Virginia. So stay tuned for future videos and more on that. But the factors of poor air quality may create detours. But I will say that regardless of where we go, more than likely we're going to get into the housing, real estate, rental opportunities, inventory, availability, affordability or lack thereof. But if you made it this far in the video, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on your alerts, notifications, comment down below, and be sure to check out Team Tordic. Now, before we go, give them the gauntlet of any and everywhere that they can connect and reach you guys.
Okay. So teamtordic.com, Kim Tordic at kw.com, 678-858-7158, 678-858-8325 is this guy right here. And if you're uncertain about all of that, don't forget, spelling is right here, Team Tordic.
You're on Facebook too?
We're on
Yes.
Facebook too, Team Tordic Properties. And could always reach out to Kevin here too.
And like I said, their info will be in the description as well as the pinned comment. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Greg.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Michelle, Squirrel Tribe. Thanks, Luna.
Thanks,
Luna.
Luna.
Thank you guys. See y'all soon.
All right.